Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. I am here for True Heel Heat YouTube channel as well as Talk Sport for a exclusive interview, one I'm very excited about as I'm going to be talking to former WWE superstar, former NXT Tag Team Champion, formerly known as Wesley Blake, now being known as Westin Blake. What's going on, good brother?
Oh, not much, man. Just living the dream. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I want to tell you a happy belated Father's Day to you, sir. I know you got
Thank
two
you.
kids of your own.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No, of
Thank you.
course, of course. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, you can drop us a like, share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family. Of course, in the comment section below, if you got anything to talk about the interview or Weston Blake, let us know there. Push the subscribe button and hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content right here on True Hill Heat. And if you're listening to us on TalkSport, make it one of your favorites on your favorite podcast platform. So, you are a man that has been in the headlines quite a bit this year, just leaving WWE. I first want to start off like how's been the last couple of months since leaving the WWE.
I tell you the truth. Since the last couple months, been leaving the WWE, I'm very a blessing in disguise, as I want to say. It's been very much fun. I've been able to be home with my wife. My wife and I are expecting our third child here in the next 4 weeks or so. So she's due at any time. So I was able to get to spend more time at home with them, and I got to spend time with my 4-year-old daughter, my 2-year-old son, and so it's just been you're finding the good out of a bad situation type thing, and it's just been very much the past 2 months has been very liberating and free, and like I've just been getting to create my own kind of content. I've worked with some people that I've shot some stuff with. I kind of want to get my story out there through my social media and stuff, and it's just very cool, and I'm very excited about the future of just getting to work. It's wide open for me right now. I can go anywhere. I can show up anytime somewhere and get to work with some incredible talent throughout the world. With I can go to AEW, I can go to Impact, I can go Ring of Honor, I go MLW, I go NWA, I can go New Japan, Noah. There's just the wrestling and the talent that's out there is just very exciting for me to kind of go out there and get to do and be my own brand and kind of get to wrestle how I want to wrestle.
Possibilities are endless for sure. I want to tell you congratulations on the newborn coming. That's a big thing, especially with Father's Day just passing.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
So I please like describe to the people that are watching and listening like how you found out about your release from WWE and what was your reaction to be a part of like such a big group of superstars that were leaving at the same time this past April.
Yeah, I mean, as I don't know if people, I mean, maybe someone know that Steve and myself were tagging, of course, with Knights of the Lone Wolf. We're with Corbin, and Steve happened to catch COVID towards the beginning of this year. And after his 2 weeks quarantine, that's of course when he got the call saying that creative had nothing for him and that they were going to be letting him go.
Yeah.
And so in the back of your mind, you're just like, well, why are they releasing him and not both of us type thing? Because we were just with Corbin. But at that time, I started reaching out with Buddy Murphy, and we started kind of him having talks because he just got done uh, doing his thing with the Mysterio slash Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of started rekindling, started shooting some ideas at each other of us coming back together. And so we were in the process of doing that. I wanted to shoot some stuff for character ideas, but then eventually I was let go after WrestleMania with budget cuts and stuff like that, and how and with a group of talented people as well.
And
And at that time, you look and I've been with the company almost 8 years, and so I kind of grew up in the company. It's where I met my wife. You know, I've had 2 kids with that company and stuff like that. And what I did, at least, is I took all the good stuff, all the great experiences that I had with that, with traveling and getting to raise my kids in that environment. And now I get to transition that over to my life now, how I want to present it without WWE, how I want to present it on my own, and how I can kind of tell my story. Or now I can kind of get to play with creative characters or whatever I can get to do with other different companies and other different talents.
Yeah, I know, and I know it's like it's kind of, it can be a shock, but you kind of talk about how you kind of saw the breadcrumbs with the situation going. But you mentioned the Knights of the Round, the Lone Wolf that you were a
Yeah.
part of with Steve Cutler and Baron Corbin. How was that? Like that whole plan pitched to you, and what was the plans behind that?
So we had some exciting plans. Me and Steve were very excited about that because when that was kind of presented to us, working with Corbin, and Steve and I, we've always got along with Corbin ever since early on NXT. He was always very good to us, always very helpful. And, and Corbin, I mean, he's built himself up very nicely. I mean, through NXT all the way to WWE, he's done some really great stuff. So we were very excited to work with him. And when we were told that we were going to do this, and we had some exciting plans that we were going to be working with Mysterios and Murphy at the time. So we couldn't be more excited about it at that time. The thing with Steve and I, we always wanted to work, and we always wanted to show ourselves and show what we could do. And I think that was always like the drive and passion factor with Steve and I think that's what me and him, we always connected on. So we always wanted to show people that, like, hey, these guys belong. Hey, we want to show we felt like you could have given us anything, and we were going to make it the best, and we are going to try to elevate it to the way it should be as best as we could.
Yeah, you guys looked good together. I thought they were gonna do a lot more with it. Do you know why, like, the kind of the storyline was kind of aborted like abruptly the way it was?
I think just a combination of things. So with Steve and myself, at the end of last year, I want to say it was some of the Mysterios may have come in contact with COVID, so they had to stay away from TV for a little bit. Buddy Murphy as well, he kind of came in contact with COVID, so he stayed away. And with the SmackDown and the machine that it is, I mean, once you're kind of on the shelf for a week or 2 or 3, the show keeps going. So at that time, so that kind of halted those plans, and so we kind of kept going with Corbin, and then of course with Steve, catching COVID as well. That's when I think it came to a screeching halt, and looking back, like, I was very excited because I felt like we could have done a lot of things with Corbin, with 3-ways and stuff like that, and six persons and stuff like that. It could have been very exciting and very good for all of us.
So we see that Steve has kind of made the transition over to Impact Wrestling just recently
Yep.
debuting. Are you like hopeful, or do you see, like, in the future you guys working together outside of WWE, or would you like to?
Yeah, I will tell you. I mean, that was me and Steve. That was one of the funnest times in my career was working with Steve, because he was like a brother to me. A lot of people don't know this, but he's a godfather to my kids.
Wow.
So yeah, so me and him met in NXT, and we connected right away. We just formed a brotherhood, and so me and him wrestling together was just like almost like a dream come true. Once we pitched the idea and the Forgotten Sons, and they actually were going to go with it, it was just a whole lot of fun. And I mean, every time me and him were in the ring, it was just something that I always keep near and dear to my heart, cherish. And so that could I hope so. I hope later down the road that we can kind of reconnect and we can wrestle again. I saw his debut on Impact. He looked great.
Yeah.
It looks like he's doing well. I hope that I think he has a great future there at Impact. Like I said, so it is going to be interesting to see where stuff goes in the future.
So like you said, you and Steve kind of got together in NXT, and how did you guys like develop or come up with your plan to be the Forgotten Sons, and how did you pitch it to the creative in NXT?
Yeah. So how we started at the end of 2016, me and him were doing singles, and I was doing a Beautiful Blake character. And on that tour, I was told like, hey, when we get back to the States, you need to switch up your character because we're about to have another talent kind of do a similar character in Velveteen Dream. So I said, okay. So when I got back to the States from that Australian tour, the first person I called was Steve. And I said, hey, because at that time, NXT's tag division was starting to go through a little transition. FTR was getting called up. I believe AOP was about to get called up. DIY just split. So I saw that there was an opportunity for Steve and myself. Like, man, if we have the right niche, I think we can really propel ourselves in the tag division. And so once we got back to the States, I gave him a call and he said, yeah, let's do this. And that's when we started formulating ideas. We started pitching stuff. They have performance center shows that you can go, and that was kind of like, people are on there to kind of pitch their ideas and how they want to be sought after. And that was so we were doing that. We were going on live events. We were kind of pitching images and stuff to creative, like, hey, here's the idea, here's the vibe we want. And so it took a little bit longer than we wanted to, because we kept on, we feel like we're going to get to TV, and then it's like Undisputed Era
Yeah.
has come. We're like, okay, so all right, let's do some of this. And then we're starting to like come up, and then it's like a Viking Raiders come to NXT, and you're just like, okay. And I mean, we just went to Triple H, and we asked him, what do we have to do to get on NXT TV? I mean, what else is there to do? And he just told us straight to our face, just like, keep doing what you're doing, keep working hard, keep pitching ideas for y'all to get there, and it'll eventually pay off. And so we did, and then eventually the creative stuck Ryker with us, and then that's when we started getting the ball rolling with the Forgotten Sons.
All right. So why would you say is like the biggest difference between the creative process in NXT to the main roster, since you've been on both sides of the spectrum as far as like getting an opportunity in both places?
So we got moved up at a weird time in the pandemic.
Yeah.
So a lot of from past experience, you kind of pitch ideas through kind of like live events and through emails, and kind of shooting promos and kind of sending them to creative, like on the main roster and at NXT. That's where they're kind of similar. Right. But with us pitching ideas during a pandemic, it was very hard. Of course, we weren't doing live event shows. We weren't doing, it's like, only a certain amount of people were allowed in the performance center at a time. Yeah. So it was just very difficult for us to kind of like pitch ideas during this pandemic. And we were supposed to have a meeting with Vince McMahon before that WrestleMania, but of course the pandemic happened, and we never got that meeting. But we continued. Then we got called up, and we continued to go. And like I said, when we pitched ideas, it's mostly just through email through that pandemic, and just kind of sending like YouTube videos, like, hey, we have this kind of vibe, or hey, we send them music videos. Hey, we like this, or just that way, so they can try to get the best vibe for what we were, and kind of idea to get the ball rolling for us. That's what we did through the pandemic. But like I said, with NXT, we actually got to show, get in front of the camera, the performance center, and show, like, we would do entrances, we would do how we would have matches that would kind of get sent up to creative to kind of see what they like and how they wanted to be presented.
All Right. And I know it had to be difficult, you know, being a performer and being in front of the empty arena with the whole pandemic. What was like the biggest obstacle for you making that transition from, you know, being in Full Sail months before that, you know, you were on Takeover 25 in front of the big crowd in Connecticut. And then a couple of months later, you go to the main roster, which is a huge opportunity, but you're in front of no fans. So what was like the biggest obstacle for you?
Well, like you just said, I mean, you're in front of a huge crowd where you get that immediate reaction when you do something, and all of a sudden you get that crowd reaction of that immediate response where, you know, it's a boo or yay or something where you're like, okay, you know, like, oh, okay, now we got something, we'll keep going with it.
Yeah.
You know, so when you go to the performance center and you're there with no crowd, that's where you have to really trust in yourself and your skills, and you are performing to where you like know, okay, I there would be a reaction right here, or there would be something right here like that. And that's where you just trust in yourself, and you also trust in the people that you're working with as well. That's probably the biggest thing, with just that immediate reaction of uh, you know, you do something, you get booed, or you do something, you get cheered. That was probably the biggest, you know, because at that time you're just wrestling in front of a camera for the most part. And that was, you know, the trust comes in with like, oh man, what we're doing, is this terrible or is this going to be good? And so that was like the biggest thing for us, I think, as performers.
So it looked like Forgotten Son was getting like a lot of momentum behind them, even coming to the main roster. But of course, we had the whole situation with Jaxson Ryker and his controversial tweets. What was your reaction to it, and how was like the aftermath as far as like your reception in the back and then to management in WWE?
So when that happened, uh Steve and myself, we of course messaged him, and we just said like, hey, we're kind of getting, you're getting some heat from some of the boys, like, you know,
Yeah.
do you mind taking down that tweet? And he respectfully said no. He's like, I don't see anything wrong with the tweet. So me and Steve just told him like, listen, we're gonna tweet our own opinion and our own statement that's going to separate us from you. So he said okay, and we did that. And then the next day, me and him went to the performance center, Steve and myself, and to talk with some management. We talked to the people in the locker room, just to kind of make amends. Like, hey, you know, those are not our views. Those are not our feelings. Like, that's, you know, type thing. And we were told by creative, like, listen, we're just going to like let this blow over. We're going to give you all 2 weeks, kind of just lay low, and then, you know, we'll kind of pick right back up with you in the new day. And yeah, and then about a week later, we got a text saying, nope, we're going to go ahead with Shin and Cesaro going feuding with the New Day. And that's when Steve and myself, we told Ryker, like, listen, we're going to pitch ideas, and we're gonna, you know, we're going to pitch some stuff without you. I know, so, you know, and that's what we did. And over the next couple of months, me and Steve, we pitched ideas of where we came back as three, or we would come back as just us two, or we come back as three and then we get Ryker out, whatever.
Yeah.
We pitched some stuff, but that, you know, that never came to fruition. And then eventually that came the December, Ryker got moved over to Raw, and then me and Steve stayed on SmackDown.
Understood. So what was like, did you have like any idea of like long-term plans for the Forgotten Sons before this whole controversy started? When you know, we hear a lot about Triple H always wanting like a plan for NXT talent when they make that move to the main roster. What was like the plans for you guys?
So when Triple H told us that we were going to get called up, he said, you know, he was excited because he's like, man, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for y'all. He's like, because at that time they were looking for kind of a three-person heel team, just to work with like the New Day and the Bloodline with the Usos and Roman. So we had like some ideas that where we could have been used, but of course, then the pandemic happened and that type of stuff. And then during the pandemic, I mean, we were just told like, hey, you are going to be going towards a good long feud with the New Day. And we didn't know how long that feud was going to be or how long it was going to go. that's all what we were told, and that's, and then eventually that got halted.
Understood. And so you mentioned earlier your tag team with Buddy Murphy. I was a huge fan of you guys
Yeah.
during your time in NXT. What was your reaction to Buddy Murphy being let go just a couple of weeks ago from WWE?
Total surprise. Man, yeah, that was by that whole group of people that was released. The whole group of talented people that got released, was in total surprise by that. I talked to Buddy. I reached out to him, and he seemed to be doing well, doing okay with it and stuff like that. But yeah, we. That's just something that me and him talked about. That's just something that you never thought that day will come, just because I think every talent that they get in WWE, you work very hard on your craft, and you work hard enough to where you when you're in with a company like that, like WWE, you want to become a lifer, and you just want to show your value. You want to show that you can make money for this company, and so it's just one of those things that it always kind of takes you by surprise. And but I have no doubt that all those people, including Buddy Murphy, that they're going to find, they're going to get on their feet just fine, and they're now they kind of get to go out there, kind of like in my boat, get to show who you are and show your value to everyone.
So, similar to the question with like wanting to do stuff with Steve, would you like to do like something with Buddy Murphy outside of WWE if your paths do cross, whether it's as a team or going up against each other?
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I said, me and Buddy, we had a great time tagging. Like I said, we had instant chemistry. We both had the same drive and passion of wanting to be the best tag team in NXT at that time. And and I think that's the drive that kind of kept us going, and what made our friendship connect. And even when they split Bliss from us, and they kind of started getting me and Buddy kind of going singles, we pitched to have a best out of 3 series between Buddy and myself. But they are like, no, we just don't want one tag partner to be better than the other. This was kind of what we were told. But yeah, we pitched like, hey, let's do like a best out of 3 or best out of 5 series between Buddy and myself. So I would love to work with Buddy again. If our future, the future holds that, and we get to cross paths again, I would love. Nothing would make me happier than working with him and Steve.
Oh, that would be awesome for sure. And
Yeah.
you talk about Steve, you talk about Buddy, but is there any like superstar or wrestler out there from all the great companies that you mentioned earlier that you would like to get in the ring with? Anyone that you've never been or never crossed paths with outside in the WWE before?
Oh man, there's a whole list of people that I would love to wrestle. As singles, and there's tags that I follow as well, that I would love to, with Steve and myself, or even my Buddy and myself, to get the opportunity to wrestle some tags out there that I think would do great as well. And there's a lot of course, singles wrestlers out there that from all different kinds of companies. I mean, it's just that the talent out there right now is just it's second to none right now. I mean, I think there's just so much talent out there, and I think everyone. It's exciting for me because I get to now go out and experience all that, and I gotta get to learn from this person and learn from this tag person, and that's the cool thing, and to kind of make your own niche and make hone your own craft. So it's a very exciting time for me. I'm very excited to work with any company that sees my value and sees what I can do for their company.
100%. I'm gonna love seeing you wherever you wind up. I know there's like great potential anywhere you go, but to kind of go all the way back before your time with WWE, a little known fact for a lot of people is that you were actually the first opponent for Jerry the King Lawler, following his like traumatic experience in 2012, having the heart attack on Raw. What was that experience like? Like, were you like cautious going in or hesitant about that opportunity? But it's a huge opportunity for you, especially before you even sign with WWE.
Man, that right there, talk about, because I was very young, and I was very kind of like, uh, new into wrestling. I was just like, I think I was like a year in, and and talk about just being nervous and just being wrecked. Like it was just like a feeling, you just have like an empty stomach pit feeling where you're like, oh man, like I want to do well with Jerry and stuff like that. And Dory Funk being in the ring there, I was like, I just want to perform well, and like I just. But I tell you what, Jerry the King Lawler was a professional in every word of the sense. I mean, he sat there and he talked to us in the locker room, and he just made it feel like, just made us feel so comfortable. And where that's the like level of confidence, and that's the one of the great things that I always remember is like, man, here I am. I'm very young, very green. I don't know like what I'm doing. I'm going in there with a legend, a WWE Hall of Famer, and he's elevating my confidence level by just like talking so chill, so cool, like just like just hearing stories that he had, and just hearing the past times, and this how he came up in the business. And it was just very calming. And it was just, when you first got to the building and you meet him, you're like, your knees are shaking, your palms sweaty type thing. But then after you talk with him for about 30 to 45 minutes, he would just ease your levels of stress, and he would, and your confidence. And like, by the time I went out there, I felt like I was like, man, I felt like I've wrestled Jerry before. That's how calm and cool like he was. It was an absolute pleasure. And you take that, and I was like, man, I hope one day I can be like that to someone, like just the way he was, just like very cool, very calm and collect. And it was just very, very cool to get to experience something like that.
Yeah, it must have been such a great experience so young in your career, and you must have learned a lot. Like you mentioned, you're trained by Dory Funk. Outside of Dory Funk, Jerry the King Lawler, who would you say is like the person, whether it was in your time in WWE, that you were in the ring with, or even behind the scenes, that you kind of learned the most from?
Ooh, man, because there is quite a few people. That's the thing, as a performer. Each time you're in the ring with someone, either someone better or someone that's maybe like green or whatever, you always kind of learn a little something. Uh, so you get little bits and pieces. I learned I learned a lot from early on NXT. It was from Norman Smiley. I learned a lot from him, and Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn was another one who taught me a lot early on in NXT. Uh, yeah, coaching wise, being in the ring with. Uh, I never got to wrestle him, but I got to wrestle like with him. Samoa Joe. I got to wrestle along kind of like Finn Balor. Uh, I would say the one I did get to wrestle quite a bit that I learned a whole lot was Shinsuke Nakamura. He was another wealth of knowledge. I mean, just to kind of like pick his brain, especially with like uh, his wrestling style, and then like his creative, way of going about things. Um, Tag wise, Steve and I got fortunate of wrestling FTR. So did Buddy and myself. Enzo and Cass learned a lot from them, just because they were such like at that time just a huge baby face for NXT, and it really helped Buddy and myself really cement ourselves as heels, and I think they elevated us in such a way. And at that time in NXT, it was just so cool because they were bringing people in, like you had like Rhino kind of come in here and there. Tommy Dreamer is another one that I learned a lot from, just being in the locker room talking and stuff like that. There are just loads and loads of people that I've learned just here tidbits here and there that hopefully just made my as a performer and my performance elevated and stuff like that. So, but those coaches really helped me out. Terry Taylor is another coach of mine that really helped me like elevate my game and how he kind of saw things as well. Matt Bloom, also he had the confidence in me to he put me with people that they never had a wrestling match that were brought over, because we with WWE NXT, they always have people coming in from all sorts of different countries. We have people from China, we have people from Puerto Rico, people from Brazil. And so it always gave me the confidence, like, oh, hey, we're going to put them in there with Westin Blake, and then he can, so that was always like it always made me feel good knowing that they can trust me and working with these types of athletes.
Yes, thank you so much, man. This has been such an insightful chat, and you learned a lot about you and your whole entire journey. Please let everyone, watching this on YouTube or listening to this on TalkSport, where they can find you on social media or anything else that you got going on.
Yeah, y'all can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Westin Blake. And like I said, I got some content coming out there that hopefully you can like tell my story and kind of tell my character wise. And then hopefully July 16th, I can hit the ground running after my 90-day no compete and start going.
We hope to see you accomplish big things coming up after your no compete is up. And I want to say thank you so much. It's been a pleasure chatting to you. And you seem like such a humble and just a genuine person. So I appreciate the chat, man.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, give this video a thumbs up, share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family. If you're new to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified so you always get the new content right here on Tru Heel Heat. And if you're listening to us on TalkSport, big thanks to everyone out there, Lucha Libre Online, as well as Alex McCarthy for this opportunity to interview Westin Blake. This has been Tru Heels BTR, Between the Ropes, our exclusive interview with Westin Blake. It is me. It is your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3, and I am signing off until next time.